session where I could answer some of your questions. So thank you. So yeah, I want to make this an opportunity for me to answer some of the questions that you might have. We've been talking for the last few weeks about being light, what it means to be light in a dark world. Jesus told us that we are the light of the world. He said that, talking to his disciples, you are the light of the world. And that's what we've been thinking about as we think about the end of, we pray and hope the end sometime in the future of lockdown and people being able to get out among people again. People have talked a lot about there being light at the end of the tunnel. And the question we've been thinking about is, how do we as Christians be light at the end of that tunnel? What kind of light are we going to shine into the lives of people? So we've thought a bit about that over the past few weeks, but we're going to continue with it probably into the future. But I wanted to just take a pause today and give you an opportunity to reflect on what we've been talking about so far. So I kind of called this session that, an opportunity to reflect today. And I see a few people come. I see Gracie's coming on from Ghana, West Africa. Welcome. Good to see you, Gracie. And just say to you and anybody else that's joining us, I haven't prepared any material today. I've taken a bit of a risk. What I've done today, instead, I want to make this an opportunity to reflect on what we've been talking about, being light. So here's what I want to ask anyone who's watching this to do. And please, if you are on, say hello to me. Like this, say hello, let me know you're there. Because what I want to do today is to give you an opportunity to just using the text thing to ask a question about what it means to be light where you are. Something specific. Maybe it's to do with a real live person you're trying to speak to, a situation that you're in or something. But I want this to be a question and answer time. When we first launched this idea, it wasn't just about me speaking. It was about us talking together. It's a bit harder to do it on this platform than it is on Zoom or something like that, but I want you to feel free to ask questions. So I'll come back to that in a minute. In the meantime, just as people are joining, to say this is something that we're doing as part of the Rooftop TV, which is going to be a growing thing that the Rooftop is about over the coming weeks, months, and even years ahead. Something that we really want to use as a way of equipping people across the world to become disciples who make disciples. If you want to connect with the Rooftop, if you're not already, you can go to our website, therooftop.org. And just on our homepage, you can just give us your first and your last name and your email address, and you'll be part of this community that we're seeking to build all around the world of people that are joining Jesus in his mission. So please do that if you can, and you'll find out more about the Rooftop and about the rooftop.org and everything that we're trying to do. But as we think about being light to people, I'm guessing that there are people around you in your family, people that you're friends with, people that you work with, people that you know, all kinds of people. Welcome, Boniface, living in Kenya, but also I think currently living in Iraq or somewhere like that, but he can confirm that. But it's good to see you, brother. And just saying that as we go into this session today, what we're going to be doing is I'm giving you the opportunity to ask specific questions about what it means to be light. So people. There are people, as I say, in your life that are not Christians. They don't know who Jesus is. They may not believe in God. And what I want to do today is give you the chance to ask some questions about, okay, Dennis, how do I be light to this person? What do I say? What do I do? How do I go about being this? So here's the risk. If nobody asks a question, I've got nothing to say. So I need your help on this one today. If you've got any questions about what it means to be light, to share Jesus, to live in the kind of way that Jesus wants you to live, just put your questions down, would you? So I can see what it is that you've got to say, and I'll try and answer those questions. So I'm going to pause for just a moment, give you a chance to do that. Anybody have a question, something you'd like to ask about what it means to be light and to share Jesus with other people? Perhaps we should have some music on in the background now while you're thinking, something for you to reflect upon and think about. So if you haven't got a question to ask, which I'm surprised at, I thought I'd see a run of questions coming. If you haven't got a question to ask, perhaps you might want to share something that you're doing right now to be light. How are you being light for Jesus in the world in which you live? What are you What are you doing? How are you connecting with people around you? People who are, many of them closed in because of COVID and can't go out, can't meet friends, can't do the things they've always done. Many people struggling in many different ways. What are you doing? Maybe you haven't got a question. Maybe you've got the answer. What are you actually doing to help people who don't know Jesus to find out who he is? Write that down. Let us know, and I can share that with other people. We can talk about that. This is your meeting today. It's not mine. It's yours. So I've got a message here from Boniface, and he's put this down. One of the questions that people expect of the followers of Jesus is to be like him, yet we have weaknesses as human beings. What do you say about this? Let me just read that again. One of the questions that people expect of the followers of Jesus is to be like him, yet we have weaknesses as human beings. What do you say about this? Well, that's a great question, Boniface. You're always a good asker of questions, my friend. I think what I like about the question is that it gets to the heart of something really important, and it's this. That, yeah, Jesus does say that we should be like him. And that's exactly what we should be as followers of Jesus. But what we can do is we can make a mistake and think, and I think a lot of Christians do this, we can think to ourselves that unless my life is absolutely perfect, and I'm a complete perfect example of what it means to be a Christian, unless I'm like that, then I can never talk to anybody about Jesus. Personally, I don't think that's true. I don't think people expect us to be perfect. I think what they want us to be is real. And in some ways, I think often our imperfection can be more of a qualifier than a disqualifier of having the opportunity to talk about Jesus. What I mean by that is this, that if we pretend to be perfect, if we give the impression that we're without sin and we never get tempted and we never get anything wrong and we never ever do anything that's anything outside of what God would want us to be, if we put on that show, the reality is it's just not true. Because all of us as Christian people, we still do make mistakes. We still do get things wrong. And we can therefore think that means, oh, I'm no good. I can't be a witness for Jesus. I believe the opposite is true. I think what people are looking for in Christians is not that we put on an act and pretend that we're perfect, but actually what they're looking for is that we are real, that we're honest, that we're true about things. So the transformation that is taking place in our lives, they can see it happening, not because we're pretending to be something that we're not, but because they see the difference that Jesus is making in our lives. I always remember years ago when I used to be in a tennis team, and when I play tennis, I'm pretty competitive. I don't care necessarily whether I win or lose. What I care about is that I give it my best shot. And I remember one time I was playing a game, and I hit a ball down the line. I ran right across the court, hit a ball down the line, and it rolled across the top of the net, and it fell down the other side, just out, And when it did, I didn't say anything inappropriate, but I kind of made it quite clear that I wasn't very happy about this. And and then afterwards I thought, oh man, I've been such a bad Christian. I've been sort of lost my temper a bit and whatever. And these guys, what are they going to think of me? And after we'd had the match, we were sitting down talking, the group of us in the team. One of the guys said, what I like about you, Dennis, is even though you're religious, he said, at least, you're human. like the rest of us. And I'm not saying that means that we should go out of our way to sin. But what I do think is that sometimes we have to recognize that we are just people. We do get things wrong. And so let's just be real about who we are. Let's be the kind of people Jesus wants us to be. Let's be kind and let's be loving and let's be helpful and let's try to be all those things. But let's also recognize that the truth is that none of us is exactly yet what we should be. But that doesn't disqualify us. And sometimes when people see that we have imperfections that we are working through and that Jesus is changing us, that helps them to see that Jesus is somebody that they could actually have access to as well, because they haven't got to be perfect to follow Jesus any more than we have to be perfect to follow Jesus. Any thoughts on that? Just put them down. Give me another question, make another comment, because as I said today, this is your meeting. So who are you talking with? Who are you sharing with? Boniface, you might want to come back to me on that. Maybe that's a specific thing. Maybe you have a specific weakness as a human being that you want to share with us. Don't have to. Maybe it's somebody that you know or a situation that you know. But come on, just hit me with some things here. Welcome to some new people that are joining, but just hit me with some thoughts, some questions, some comments about this. Being light, living for Jesus in the world. How do we do that? What do I do? What happens when this happens? What about this struggle that I'm having? Hit me with a question. I'm going to give you a bit more time just to think of a question or two you might have, or make a comment, share something. This is part of the Rooftop TV, as I said, something that we're launching. If you're just joining and you want to become more part of what we're doing with the Rooftop TV, be more equipped and help to be a faith-sharing disciple of Jesus, just visit our website and you'll see on the homepage you can put your name and your last name and your email address, and then you'll be part of this community that we're seeking to build to join Jesus in his mission. So come on, hit me. Who's got another question? Who's got another comment they'd like just to share as we think about what it means to be light and to shine Jesus into the world in which we live? While you're thinking, I'm going to be drinking. So I'm going to have a little drop of water while I wait for you. So I've got a nice dry throat. But as I said at the beginning, if there are no questions and if there are no comments, then this is going to be a reasonably short session, because I purposely didn't prepare anything today. This is an opportunity to reflect. So as you can see, please put your questions in the comments on your Facebook or whatever. Well, that's a great comment. Great, Eslish, but give me some more, man. If you want, I love the comment. Great. But give me a question or give me a thought that you're having about it. What, if you think it's great, that's great. But what's great about it? What's encouraging you? What's challenging you? What's causing you to write down that word great right now as you're thinking about what I'm talking about? Let me know. Put it down. I'm going to drink some water, but I need some comments. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. Water's very good when you feel thirsty. So does anybody have a question? Anybody have a thought, a comment, anything I'd like to say? Boniface, do you want to come back to me? Do you want to share what you felt about my answer? Or anybody else? Gracie, do you want to come from Ghana, West Africa? Do you want to say something? I'm waiting to hear from you. So Boniface has just come back with a comment. He says, thanks for your response. He calls me Rev Dennis. Thank you, Boniface. It's good to hear from you, brother. And it's a milestone to have the Rooftop TV. Well, I hope so. I hope it's the beginning of something. We're just really putting our foot into the water, I guess, or our toe into the water with this. And let me just comment on that for a minute while I'm waiting for any questions that you have. I think one of the reasons we're doing this with this Rooftop TV is that there so often when Christians are equipped to be disciples who make disciples, the equipping, and this is obviously before COVID, because COVID has changed this in many ways, but the equipping has often taken place in a church building somewhere. So people, go to a church, a worship center or whatever, and they go into some room and they get taught how to share their faith. That's if they even ever do it at all. But the real challenge is that the way that Jesus taught people, he didn't do it that way. Jesus taught people on the job. He taught them where they were. He walked on the streets and he walked through the fields and the public places, and he took disciples with him and he showed them how to do it, and then he let them do it. And that's how they learned. They learned in situation. They learned where they were. They didn't have to go to a place outside of where they were to be taught and then go back to where they were. They did it where they were. And that's how we learn. So the point of Rooftop TV, what we're going to be seeking to do over the next, as I say, weeks, months and years as it develops across the world, is to have a bunch of different opportunities for people like you and like many others to join through these platforms. And also we're going to be using Zoom a lot as well, and actually be able to be part of some live and then watch downloaded versions of live things that have taken place, discussions and conversations and teaching where the Bible will be at the center of it, but also there'll be an opportunity to reflect on what the Bible says, but most importantly, to then begin to say, how do we apply what we're learning through this time so that we can go and do something with it to put it into practice. Jesus said that if we hear his words, we have to put them into practice. Otherwise, we're like a crazy guy that built his house upon the sand. If we just listen to the word and don't do it, then it really, in a sense, it wasn't worth listening to it at all. But if we do something with it, then we build a house upon the rock and it stands and it makes a difference. It's part of what God wants to build. So that's what the rooftop TV is going to be all about. And as we grow it and develop it, please come back, invite your friends, tell other people about it, because we really do want people to be equipped. And the great thing about online broadcasting like this is that people can access it on their smartphones, their tablets, their PCs, all kinds of different ways. Where you are, you haven't got to go somewhere. You can actually just pick it up and you can be part of it where you are. So that's what the rooftop TV is. So thank you, Boniface, for your comment on the milestone of rooftop TV. But I'm just wondering, has anybody else got another question or a comment you'd like to make? I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes and wait if there are. But please ask, because if you don't ask, then I can't answer. So it's up to you. If you have a question or a comment, please just write it down now. And while you're doing that, I'm going to sip a little drop more of my water and just give you a chance to do it. So anybody have a question or a thought they'd like to raise as we're just thinking what it means to be light in a world full of darkness? If you're not sure what to do, you just use your comments, okay? Just if you're thinking, well, how do I do this? Just use your comments and you type it. You haven't got to speak to me. You haven't got to say anything out loud. You don't need a microphone or a camera or anything to speak to me. You just put it in the comments box. And when you put it there, I promise you, I'll look at what it says. And if it's a good question, I'll answer it. If it's a bad question, I'll try to answer it the best I can. So just a few more moments if you want to put your question in, and I'll do what I can to answer it. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. So I'm thinking if there are no more questions coming in, that means you haven't got any questions you want to ask. So I probably can't answer anything if you're not asking anything. So what we'll do is we'll continue in the future with this. I'll let you know when it's going to happen again, because I want this to be useful to people. I want to make sure that it's something that's really helping people in what you're trying to do. So I'll keep you posted on what's going to be happening, but I'm going to give you just one more opportunity. If you want to ask a question or make a comment, to do so now. If not, we'll probably stop it here and then think about how we're going to do this carrying on in the future. So does anybody have one last moment to make a comment or ask a question about what it means to be light in a world that's dark? Here you go. This is your last opportunity. All right, well, that's it then. I think we'll stop it there today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being part of this. Watch this space for what's going to be happening next. Thanks for those of you that did make a comment and ask a question. Really do appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. God bless you as you seek to join Jesus in his mission. Thanks for joining us. Oh, and now look at that. Now we've got a question. So here's Boniface again. You almost lost us then. We almost stopped, but I said I'd look at the question, so I will. Thank you, Boniface, for keeping this live, my brother. He asked this question: how can we make our lights as believers to shine in the lives of the lost soul, even without preaching to them? Like some, hang on, let me do this again. I lost it. And how can we make our lights as believers to shine in the lives of the lost soul, even without preaching to them, since some areas and some people are hard to reach with the word of God because either they're risky or not convenient to meet people? You're good. I tell you what, Boniface, you need to come on every week and you can be the question asker, because you ask great questions. There's a bunch of different ways I could ask that question, answer that, or seek to answer that question. But I think the way where I'd like to go with it, because I think this is at the heart of what you're asking, is that yeah, it's true. Some people are hard to reach. And as you say, because they're risky or it's not convenient. And there's something there which I think is really important for all of us as Christians to recognize. And it's not popular these days. In fact, it's pretty unpopular. But there's a cost involved in being a Christian. It's so much of the world today is all about having an easy, good, comfortable life. But Jesus never offered that. Jesus actually asked us to follow him and said to follow him, we leave everything. We leave our lives behind and pick up a new life and follow him. And we join him in his mission about sharing with the world who God is. And that means that for all of us, it's not just for some, for all people that are doing that, there's a cost involved. And that cost is that sometimes it takes us outside of our comfort zone. It puts us into risky situations. It makes our life not so convenient as it would be. You know, Jesus never said, follow me and I'll make your life cozy and convenient. Jesus said, follow me and I'll actually put you in situations that are outside of your comfort zone where it is a risk and sometimes it won't be convenient. I'll ask you even to lay down your life. I often share a story about one of our pioneers. His name is Elijah. He's in Sierra Leone in Africa. And I've told this story many, many times, but I never lose the feeling I get whenever I tell the story. I was in Sierra Leone with Elijah a few years ago now, and we were talking about reaching the people in the southern part of Sierra Leone. And there are people there still in the southern part of Sierra Leone who are very very remote and people that have not really yet connected with the world in which we live today. There are still people that they literally behead people. It's a dangerous place to go and to be. And Sierra Leone has a number of these people. And Elijah was telling me that he felt that he should go and take the gospel to these people. And as he was telling me that he felt he should go do this, I remember sitting in his house and saying to him, Elijah, that's really dangerous. And you know, you could lose your life by doing that if you went. And he looked just back at me across the table and he just smiled at me. He's got this way of doing it, Elijah. And he looked back across the table at me and he said, Dennis, he said, brother, Jesus died for me. Why wouldn't I die for him? And in that just simple little sentence, he didn't say it with any agenda or to anything. He just said it very matter of fact and naturally. What he was saying, I think, was at the heart of what Jesus was about. And I think, Boniface, what's also somewhere in your question, that for us to be prepared to reach the people that Jesus came for, often it means we've got to be prepared to have the same sacrificial, I guess, heart and spirit that Jesus had. And we're saved because of the cost of God, the Son. He made himself nothing. He gave up everything. He laid everything aside, everything imaginable. He left the glory of heaven itself. He left everything. He was utterly inconvenienced. He was completely outside of the comfort zone of heaven that he was accustomed to. He laid it all aside, gave it all up, made himself nothing, taking the nature of a servant, becoming obedient to death on a cross. That's how we have our salvation. And so therefore, if we're going to join Jesus in that mission and shine light into a dark world, there is no way of doing that without us being willing to be inconvenienced and maybe taken outside of our comfort zone and paying a cost for doing that. So as my mum's actually put on there, it's our lives that people watch mostly. That's true. It is our lives that people watch. And as they watch our lives, sometimes that will give us opportunity to share and say something and speak into people's lives. But there will be a cost in doing that sometimes. And I guess where I'd like to land this session today is by saying this, that if we are prepared to join Jesus in his mission, then it will cost us something. But the great encouragement I take from Jesus is that he never asks us to pay a price that he wasn't prepared to pay himself, because my salvation, your salvation, cost him everything. And he did it because he loves us. So thanks for your questions. You can see we've put a note on there. please sign up at therooftop.org to hear more from us and join the community. We'd love you to do that. So just hit that link and do that. And please, if you're on Facebook and other social media, just share this with other people. We are really praying and seeking God that we can build a global community all around the world, from different countries, different nations, different ethnic groups, I guess, people with different color skin, people that live in very different parts of the world from each other, but people that have one thing in common. And that one thing they have in common is that they want to join Jesus in his mission. I think there are many Christians all around the world that want to do that, but need to be equipped and inspired and helped to do it. And that's what we're seeking to do with this Rooftop TV. So if that's you, or if it's people that you know, you could share this with them. So have a look at this broadcast, or go to this website, connect here. What we want to do is more and more, increasingly across the world, is to equip people to be effective at shining the light, being Christians, joining Jesus in his mission where they are. Thanks ever so much for joining us, and we'll be in touch about what we're going to be doing next with the Rooftop TV. God bless you. Thanks so much. Goodbye.